getting hit with a projectile because again the violence has gotten so to the point where police have to try and restore order. Watch this and I'll get your reaction to your own video. Yeah, I mentioned beforehand. I hope I'm not like triggering any sort of like post-traumatic issue there, because that would probably be tough to rewatch. Explain what happened there. Are you okay, first of all? And yeah, what happened? And I don't know, kind of how does kind of emblematic of everything going on at the riots in Los Angeles.
I think, well, number one, I'm fine. At the moment, I wasn't entirely sure if I was fine, and I think that's the purpose of those projectiles. It's a stun grenade that law enforcement uses to really disorient and break up crowds,
Mhm.
and they do absolutely that. But basically, what was going on there was I was sort of in a corridor with stairs, and it's an apartment complex sort of area. And so, as they were clearing that area out, I was coming down the stairs, and I kind of wanted to get in front of law enforcement. And as you can see there, they're shooting these stun grenades into the air, but they sort of blindly shot one into the corridor where I was standing, and it hit me in the knee and completely just disoriented my senses. And so it took me, if you watch the full video on my X, it took me a good minute and a half probably, and a lot of help getting up. So it was disorienting, but I think it speaks to the level of chaos that was going on the last few nights. And I don't blame law enforcement at all for trying to restore order.
Yeah, it's we're seeing pictures of John Fetterman even on the lib side is saying, "Hey, this is not a good look," and I'm sure you have thoughts on that. But I'd love to get your opinion on this. The New York Post picked up on a local news channel looking at a video of people distributing masks. Let's play that clip really quick, and I'd love to get your thoughts on kind of the, dare I say, rearmament of a bunch of the violent thugs in LA. Watch this.
The different organizations that are backing some of these protests. This is more, she said, organic, and maybe that's what you're seeing there. I'm hoping that is.
What are those boxes?
Are those masks of some sort? Are those gas masks?
That doesn't look like food.
Yeah, those are.
Looks like masks.
Yeah, no, those are masks. Yeah, so people are prepping for some sort of altercation with police.
Yeah, you mentioned before we came on the air, you've seen those masks around. I guess from a, nobody's going to be mad at giving protesters or rioters like sandwiches or food or water or whatever. Again, maybe you shouldn't be helping them out, but this is clearly something different than that. What do you kind of see on the ground as far as different material that protesters, rioters are getting from who knows where?
Yeah, so I did see that truck, and I did see that video on social media. But prior to that, I did actually see individuals wearing those masks, and those are obviously face shields designed to protect people in combat situations. And that's exactly why they're being dropped off, is because the expectation of going head to head and creating a violent situation while law enforcement is trying to restore order is what's going on. And so you see various things that these rioters have. A lot of them have very loud, what I can only describe as fireworks that they throw at law enforcement. They blow them up. Anarchists and in masks breaking curbs and throwing all kinds of anything that they can throw at law enforcement to really escalate the situation. So the masks are just part of them escalating and showing that they don't plan to stop.
That's fascinating to see. As you saw a picture there too, I looked and they're sold out on Amazon, or it says they're not available anymore. And not cheap also, by the way. I think they're generally, for some reason they were discounted, but they're generally like $50. Overall, I guess, you know, and I know this is anecdotal and I know you don't have hard evidence on this, but just kind of being around and talking to the various people that are showing up to these riots, what is their main driving factor, at least that you can tell? Obviously there's going to be a bunch of different driving factors, but yesterday we did a whole sarcastic, satirical bit about these are the people that the rioters are rioting for, and it was a list of just horrible criminals that nobody would want in the country. What is kind of the driving force of why you think people are out there doing what they're doing?
I think it's a pretty big question because you have so many people who come to these protests, and you have so many people who come for the riot. And trying to determine who's coming for what reason is always going to be difficult. But based on their actions, it's pretty. You can kind of derive why they're there and what motivates them. Some of them are simply there to fight with the police. They're there to agitate. They're there to vandalize, and really are opportunistic and parasitic. So even if there are people there who genuinely believe that they're at these protests for a good reason, it's really eclipsed by the fact that so many of these other people are there to cause problems. So you have multiple different groups on the ground who maybe they're there for free Palestine reasons. Maybe they're there because they're not in favor of ICE deportations. But ultimately, neither of those things should devolve into this sort of violence. And so that's where you have that third factor of people who really don't care about anything other than the violence.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch, and I hear you when a bunch of the people are saying, well, there's some peaceful protesters there. I'm sure there are, but that's not what everybody is seeing. And if I were one of those peaceful protesters, I think the goal then would be get as far away as possible from the violence as to not get intermixed with them. But I don't see a lot of people necessarily doing that. In the last couple seconds, we've got, Frontlines as a whole is a Turning Point Run kind of division of the reporting side. Thankfully, there are people like you that are willing to go out and do that sort of thing. But and unfortunately, we were kind of seeing a bunch of other cities kind of pop up. Do you have any, I guess, predictions of how this is going to play out? Because like we've seen previously, not all that long ago, Portland went through 100 days straight of rioting. If you were to just place a guess, nobody's going to hold you to this, but just kind of your perception of it in Los Angeles, but also elsewhere, do you think this is going to continue on for a long duration, or is it hopefully kind of winnowing down, especially considering President Trump is promising to use whatever means necessary to make sure the violence stops?
Right. I think that we're going to see this continue as long as the ICE raids continue. So
Hmm.
this is going to be widespread. We've already seen instances of this sort of behavior, riotous behavior, happening in Austin. It's happening in New York as well. And so I think anywhere ICE raids are taking place, and for whatever reason there seems to be leaks about when they're going to occur, hopefully that stops, and whoever is leaking that information is criminally prosecuted. But if the leaks stop, these people are still going to go to every single ICE detention center around the country, and there will be sieges, in my opinion, on all of these federal buildings.
Yeah, man, I'll hate to see that, but unfortunately, not optimistic. I think if I were to make a little bit of some levity out of this, I would just love to see the Trump administration get to Obama numbers in terms of deportations, because that would be That'd be good. Obama deported way more people than President Trump has done. For some reason, President Trump is the bad guy for that. Kaylin D. Almeida, Frontlines reporter in Los Angeles. Hey, seriously, stay safe out there. Really appreciate what you were doing, bringing some real perspective and also content to people who need to see it. Thanks so much, man.
Joe Bob, thanks for having me.